Hello, hello guys. There'll probably be no cam for a little while here, but yeah. I'm trying to see that is there music on the stream? Because I can't tell. Where's my Spotify at?
Hi. Have fun. Greetings.
Also my first arena, so I want to just warm up a little bit on this. And I was waiting for someone to queue as well, so I decided to just warm up with this. Oh my god, it is auto. Stop. Living the wrong thing.
I foresee destruction. Dispel their attacks. All magic flows to me.
Killing spree.
All magic flows to me.
Damn it. Really tried to snack them up there.
All magic flows to me.
Definitely got some wombo combo action going with this god. If you get a good ult and you know how to follow it up, it's pretty great. I don't know if I like Murden on her though. I'm just doing the auto build at the moment, so I didn't have to think about it here. But I don't know, maybe double explosion later on the 3 is nice, but unfortunate.
Dispel their attacks. Overpower and manipulate.
Damn it. Where is my Spotify at? It's so weird. I can see that my Spotify is gone. Ah, there it is. Okay. Thank God it wasn't gone. That's so weird. It was turned off for some reason. Only on my end though, as far as I could say. So it should be fine.
Distract and destroy.
Damn it.
Overpower and manipulate.
Godly wrath. The forest runs rampant.
I missed everyone? Oh no.
Overpower and manipulate.
Thank you.
And manipulate. Counter their curses. Distract and destroy.
Dude, I feel like Arena was buffed, man. How do we have so many points left still? Like, what is Arena's normal points now? Because it feels much longer. Mistakes were made.
I see the other side, and it's glorious.
I'll see if I can get out of this as fast as possible. Because now I have people waiting on me.
I see the other side,
Here I am.
and it's glorious.
Close. Why do I feel like the Scott does way more damage in Arena? I guess mages only feel bad in Conquest early. Because they're fine late game, but mages have such a bad start. Oh, why would you aim it there?
One still on this plane.
Sad.
Welcome, Z.
Damn, I can't believe he ages, man. Why did he has ages? Who builds ages these days, man? We have Ymir, Chuck, and even Kunanos. Why are you running around with ages, dude?
Dispel their attacks. Distract and destroy. Close to me.
Oops. Did not mean to press that yet. Didn't catch a carry. Alright, points are going down somewhat fast now that I can grab some easy kills, so hopefully it shouldn't take much longer than a few minutes now. I
has been slain.
don't even know. Let's just grab two more, I guess. Have you tried your Q? Yes, I have. It makes me big, but I also forget about the Q button very often. I'm not just pressing Q in Smite. No, I missed time. Sad. Should have waited with my ult just for 2 more seconds to get my abilities back up.
Has 10 tickets remaining.
The enemy has 10 tickets remaining. I haven't heard the new announcer. It's so casual. Ooh, a gift. I'll take it. Oh man. Okay. I tried to end the game. Was not successful. Ah, there it is. There's 2 of them and they stay stacked. Oh really? Actually just Vamano never got? Yeah, kinda. Because this is what? Yeah, 20% increased intelligence, like it's a very good late game. Especially on the big gods like I guess like Kulkan, like use it before your ult type thing. You can probably one-shot carries late game with that stuff. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. I'm gonna swap music here. It's getting a little depressing now. I'm getting pretty close to rank 5 Mordred. I gotta grab Onyx here. It's so cool. It's gonna take ages to get to Radiant though. But I don't really have another god I feel like spamming as much as I have with Mordred. And yeah, feel free to let me know if the music is too loud. My Spotify is a bit weird sometimes, it just kind of swaps its volume. I'm actually gonna start with Hades today. I think. Maybe not. Maybe I'll just warm up and... Oh, I'm ADC? Okay. Yeah, sure. I can do ADC. Oh, man. Classic. Throwing me an ADC to deal with the Jingwei. I see how it is. What's this about a Zeus ADC? Maybe it's time to see what that's about for myself.
Zeus.
Let's see what that's about. People saying the Zeus ADC is kind of clean. Gotta check it out. What do you build on the magical ADCs now? I guess you still just build the physical? You just go for a normal ADC build? Does that include lifesteal? Do you go Devil Gloves? Hybrid attack. That's kind of strange. I think I'll do my own. I mean, I would assume you still build the same, right? Like, you wouldn't still build magical. Am I completely wrong on that? Like, you maybe just do double stacking? Oh no, you have to do intelligence. Shit. Okay. Guess I just do this one then?
Acceptable.
Okay. Oh, he still gives him attack speed as well? That actually okay, so he's got a steroid too. Okay. His kit definitely fits as an ADC, I can see it. The hair physics are so funny.
Nothing of it.
An ally has been slain.
I mean, 105 autos are definitely not bad at level 1. I just need to hit my autos a bit more. Okay. Let's double blink. You definitely do need some mana, I guess. One mana pot would not be bad on Zeus here. If you want to be aggressive, that is. Yeah, UI reminds me of closed beta smite. Oh, wouldn't be too wrong in thinking that, I would say.
Your middle tower is under attack.
I get you. It does seem like try to modernize it, but in a way it kind of just made it more simple to look at. Which is, I guess, kind of modernizing it. These days, that's usually what that does. Zeus's one still feels a bit weird. Like, it's not instant, it's really slow. Maybe it's just the travel time of it as well. It feels very slow to use.
Maybe I'm getting too old.
Yeah, I'm dead. Keep up the attack speed. Damn, Fenrir came at a tough time. Also running too low on mana for that fight. Dude, it's weird. Zeus uses so much mana, where I feel every other god in the whole game never use any mana. It's so weird.
An enemy has been slain.
I help those who do their best.
An ally has been slain. An enemy has been slain. An ally has been slain.
Oh, I should have backed it. Damn it. Should have taken the gold came instead. Your hot take is that they should make every ability instant, because only then is it fun to play, but maybe reduce the travel time or something. I mean, technically I think that is what they're trying to do. And yeah, for the sake of balance, some things can be instant. Like, Zeus's 1 is a very powerful ability. I do think it should, like, it should just feel like Smite 1, right? They spend years balancing stuff in Smite 1 for a reason. It should just feel the same.
An ally has been slain.
And I think they're trying to do that too. And that's why they changed Susano back, you know?
Your middle tower is under attack.
I was tanking the tower as well. I didn't beat it on purpose, because I was thinking we could maybe fight that, but yeah. Didn't think I was gonna be the one tanking the tower, though. Well, I was also slightly baited with the Athena ult being on me. I wanted to fight that so badly. Yeah, definitely focus on quicker casting abilities.
An enemy has been slain.
Yeah. I think it tends to feel better too. Like, Mordred is a good example. I think he feels so good to play. It's actually insane how good he feels. Like, I don't think he's that good. I think people are just right now learning how to deal with him as every time a new god comes out, people say it's broken or whatever, and they don't know how to deal with it. It's mostly because they don't know how to deal with it. That's partly OP. In competitive, I don't think he's gonna be that good. I think he's gonna be fine. Definitely think he's gonna be like playable for sure. But I do not think he's broken. He's so single target heavy that I don't know, he's gonna be kind of like a Tsukuyomi situation. Like sometimes you get a lucky ult for sure, but people will learn to split up once they hear his ultimate is coming. It's kind of like when people hear Thor ult, right? Except this guy's ult is much, much easier to hear. Why is Ching Wei in mid?
Your middle tower is under attack. An ally has been slain.
Ultimate is ready.
Lightning bolt. Lightning bolt. An enemy has been slain. Your middle tower is under attack. An enemy has been slain. Let the heavens rain.
No, dude. That's so unfortunate. I know I can fight her very, 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 very well now, though. Yeah, you can hide in bushes.
Group up. I help those.
I still don't know if I like it or not. I'm not really sure.
Attack.
I need to see it in competitive more. Because it makes getting ganged way easier. You can super cheese ganking now, because people have to walk into lane and there might be a bush right next to them. And you can't do anything against some gods that have that ability. Like, when Hebo, like Circuit, whatever, like those types of god come into play, good luck. Like, not just having them completely camp the shit out of you. And just one-shot you before you're able to do anything, because you didn't know they were right next to you.
Gank. Lightning bolt.
That's my main problem with it. Right now there's no god who's really gonna be able to do that. We don't have one-shot gods just yet. The closest one is Jing Wei, you know? But Jing Wei is just kind of broken right now.
An enemy has been slain. Let the heavens
Attack left lane.
An enemy has been slain. An ally has been slain. By my beard, this shall serve me well.
Death Metal is a funny name. People are gonna rage about that for sure. I think it's worth trying. I do think the bushes are a decent idea. They kind of experimented with it, I guess, with Matikarus. But I don't know if I like it yet. Like, I need to see it really being used. Also, what does this do again? Okay, so it's a steroid. Excuse me? What the fuck was that lag?
Getting too old for this.
Dude. That lag legitimately just saved Jingwei. That's so weird.
I am sorry.
Okay. That's so weird. I don't know why that happened. Also, this item is really weird. It gives intelligence, but also gives crit. So I'm not really sure how I'm supposed to build it as a magical. Because you don't really get crit with anything else. I'll probably just fit in a Deathbringer here and there. But I don't know.
Slain an enemy. Destroy the left enemy tower.
Want to see if I can sneak something here.
Tower is under attack.
I also need to use my steroid. I just realized I didn't use it before. Could have probably killed Jingwei with that.
I help those who do their best.
Slain.
It is
An
tiring,
ally has been
learning
slain.
so many new things.
Slain an enemy.
Yeah, that's a pretty good damage.
Your team has destroyed a right enemy tower. An enemy has been slain. Let the heavy lightning rain. Killing spree. An enemy has been slain. An ally has been slain. An enemy has been slain.
I want to try Deathbringer here. Let's see if the connector works. Yeah, the strength of auto at least? Yeah, for sure. Like, my autos being strength means I can still do Deathbringer and run crit. It just means my abilities won't do shit. Which kind of sucks as Zeus, because you're fully ability-based going into late game. Like, if I hit a good Chain Lightning, I wanted to smack them, you know? The most important thing though is the stun. The stun on Detonate needs to be big.
An enemy has been slain.
Why is Jingwei left? Guess I'm pushing.
Has been slain. Has been slain. An enemy has been slain.
See where he went. I want to fight him. she gonna fly back? Where'd she go? Oh, she's there.
Lightning bolt.
Ah, unfortunate timing.
Enemies incoming. On my way.
Yes. Ultimate is ready. Think nothing of it. Attack the Gold Fury.
Not too bad. I think with Deathbringer this might be alright.
Middle lane.
I don't know if this. I think this build is particularly good though. I'm kind of just trying whatever here. I can see the value in this Zeus ADC though. Like with fully stacks or full stacks, he probably does more damage than someone like Onher or Kernos. But he's definitely not better than Sol or Jingwei, who are both borderline broken.
An ally has been slain.
It's actually a somewhat close game. Damn, the small knock-up cancelled my ult. It's time for us to group up, I think. What's actually a problem on their team? Fenrir? Kind of just Fenrir, it seems. Maybe better teamwork.
Your middle tower.
Man, I'm torn on what to build on Zeus. I really am. Maybe grab Book. For the simple reason that... Oh, then fire. Just... The simple reason that I can get some lifesteal in.
Has destroyed the fire giant.
Completed.
Cancel that.
What? Excuse me? Okay, so her Hakate's one lingers, apparently. Good to know. Also, I'm not sure how broken the Fire Giant buff is, but it seems very powerful here in Smite 2, so... Fatalis? Is Fatalis even that good? I haven't really seen any Fatalis.
Your middle tower is under attack. An enemy has been slain. Lightning bolt.
On my way.
Let the hammer
Oh, you almost got me with that. Damn, Hakate's so powerful late game. I actually don't think I've looked at Fatalis at all. Pretty decent stats, actually. Not too bad. I could probably go with it. Well, I think it's too late for me now, honestly. I feel like I want to get something else for my last item, but I'm down to try that at some point.
those who do their best.
Dude, give me one crit, man. Oh.
Killing spree.
Run, boys.
Set up an ambush here.
Lightning bolt. Into flat.
It's kind of tanky.
Out of mana.
Okay.
I'm not sure why he yoinked that, to be honest. But that's fine. Let me grab. Yeah, this should be nice. Get that. What is the crit item that this one? So this one gives me movement speed. Let me grab this one instead, because I do think having some kind of buff when I hit someone is good. But I don't want to go full on Fatalis in this one.
There are gods in need.
An enemy has been slain. Lightning bolt.
I don't crit him very much.
Right lane.
Attack fire giant.
Overall, this is not a bad game though. It's been kind of even.
Slain an enemy.
Hades, welcome to me.
Stop it.
Attack fire giant.
Alright, full build. This build is definitely not it. I definitely feel like there are issues with this build. But it might also just be the nature of Zeus being awkward, and I need like my 3 charge things to actually do anything. Like to actual damage.
Your right tower is under attack.
Should have pushed up left.
Wherever there are gods in need.
An enemy has been slain. An enemy has been slain.
Welcomes me.
Alright. Like, probably one of the better games overall, I think. Fenrir put up a fight pretty well early on, making it tough. I'm not sure this would have been easier with an actual ADC, though. I'm not sure. Because Anhur and Kronos were my options left, I think. And they aren't really great. They're kind of bad. I think I would have been fine with Anhur, though. Anhur's ultimate is pretty good. Does a lot of damage. But that's kind of it. The rest of Anhur's kit just doesn't feel good at the moment. Wait, did I promote? No, not yet. I need one more game. Then I'll finally be platinum. It's what I always wanted. Still such a long way to go. I don't know if they nerfed the amount of SR you get, or if it's just how it naturally progressed as as you go. Because you got so much in the beginning. Like down here you were getting 250 for winning. Now you're never getting more than like 80, I think. For this one I'm pretty sure I got like 60. Maybe 70. No, because I was in the 30s. I'm pretty sure I must have gotten like 50 then. Might also be depending on who you're against. Like if we're against a full Amber team, then yeah, we're probably not gonna get much. Oh, I see. So if I was against people on my same level, it would be like 250 or something like that. Is that the new max you can get? That makes sense if it's someone much lower than you. If that's the case. All depends. If you're queuing with 5 stack, you get less too. Okay. I feel like I get the same for solo queuing as I do for like 5 manning. At least it's not that big of a difference. Like I was solo queuing yesterday and I won and I got 80. Which is pretty much the same I usually get, I think. Harry said the system just doesn't work. Okay. Yeah, we'll just have to wait then. Yeah, I said it then, I believe when you said it in Nika's chat as well, that like this overall. I think Smite's just not really gonna. It's gonna be like this. I feel like until open beta actually begins, because there simply just isn't enough people playing ranked at the same time. Like maybe, probably when Nika and maybe some of the other big streamers are queuing, then yeah, sure, because we can just look at their queue and then follow it. But dude, it's gonna take a while for the queue to go back to normal, if it's ever gonna go back to normal. It really just depends on what happens when Smite goes full open. It's so up in the air right now. Think where systems works, this could be like 5 decent queues going. Probably, yeah. I mean, at the moment, a lot of people are playing because they're trying to rise, but once people actually get to deity, I feel like a lot of them will just stop because it isn't that enjoyable at the moment. The only reason why people play right now is to get to deity. Because like the higher level people that have like scrims and stuff, they're just looking to get good games, and they can get those games out of scrims. So they wouldn't need to do it in ranked. Like I also think once I reach like hopefully a deity, but like maybe even just something right below, like I'll be okay reaching demigod as well. Like that'd be fine. I'll be satisfied enough for that if I was struggling getting to deity. But at the moment, like if I reach those, I would just queue casuals. I think. I yesterday I queued ranked for a little bit and it was horrible in terms of skill levels. Then I queued for casuals and it was so much better. I actually had legitimate good games. That was where I was challenged. People were like maybe not on the same level necessarily, but people were much closer than they were in ranked. I was against the lane opponent. We legitimately went back and forth. Like he was, I would say, probably on my level. Like it was a mirror matchup, so it was a bit boring in that sense. But we both went moderate, and we were solo killing each other left and right. Like it was just fun fights to do. So he was kind of a spam laugher though, so that kind of sucked. He also won the game in the end, because yeah, my team got a bit outclassed in that game, but I rarely meet like opponents that put up a fight right now. It's gonna end up creating bad habits. In a sense, it's kind of nice that it's not too hard right now, because I'm so focused on finding builds and getting used to the new way some gods work. Like, I still suck at Hades. I would still say Hades is one of the best solos. Like, it's definitely top 2. I still think Chuck is a bit better, but Hades is very close to Chuck. But I can't play Hades. I fucking suck at him. I need to practice him. I'm not used to the way he works now. Also, are we queuing or not? Let me figure this out real fast. Hi. We waiting for a 5th, or what are we waiting for? Oh. Okay. Yeah, how to tell what builds are good? Because these opponents, against these opponents, anything works for sure. I think what you can take out of builds is look at the numbers. Like if you build tank, like Mordred for example, I think is a god that honestly kind of works better if he's almost full tank. He's incredibly tanky. Uh, right now, crit is kind of busted, so you can argue whether it's better or not against a good player, but he does almost as much damage as almost full tank as he does his full damage. It's kind of crazy. So I think something like that you definitely can test, but I agree with you. Mine is always stuck at level 1 for a while when I lock in. I think if you press on your profile, you can still see your level. But yeah, for the people that may be wondering why there's no cam on, I'm just tired today. So I just decided not to have the cam on. I'm gonna be sloppy, I'm gonna sit wrong, I'm gonna stare into the wall and not think about people having, I guess, people watching me while I'm doing all that. So I'm just chilling today. I'm so tired. So yeah, it's probably not going to be the longest stream either today, but that's mostly because it's also really hot. And that's also why I'm probably really tired. Because when it's really, really hot, I just get tired. I want to go sleep. I'm obviously not, which just results in me being awake, but really tired. Also, what the fuck? Why are we 4? Oh, never mind, we got Mario now. Not sure what I want to play here.
Hades.
Ares is probably the best one of them, I think. Yeah, that they do. We have Jingwei though. It's fine. Just don't get belly flopped, and I think you're fine. Yeah, I think Falcon as well. I mean, they could be 5 men. They're gonna be a 3 or a 5 man, right? His jump is so funny, man. He's so bouncy.
Minions have spawned.
Damn, Hades level 1 is tragically bad. Well, I wanted the challenge in solo, so I think I got it.
An ally has been slain.
Some weird hiccups sometimes.
Your middle tower is under attack. An ally has been slain. An ally has been slain. The underworld calls for me.
It's unfortunate. I'm not even sure what happened to Blue Buff there. He didn't go out of my ult though, that's weird. I could have just used my 3 again, but I would expect him to jump, so I instantly silenced him. Yeah, I know.
An enemy has been slain. An ally has been slain. Your middle tower is under attack. An enemy has been slain. An enemy has been slain.
Dude, is that instant cast again for some reason? My one is glitched again.
An ally has been slain. An enemy has been slain.
Enemy missing.
Your right tower is under attack. An ally has been slain. An enemy has been slain.
My dash is glitched again. Happens every time on Hades.
Gank.
Help! Help!
An enemy has been slain. An enemy has been slain.
Attack the gold fury! Cancel that!
Fenrir is missing. Same.
An enemy has been slain.
No, he kept running.
Your middle tower. An ally has been slain.
Fenrir's missing.
Your team has destroyed a left enemy tower. Ally has been slain. An ally has been slain.
That's one kill. I kind of screwed my ult there. I think I could have played that better. I wasn't sure. I should have just dashed. Once I ulted, I should have dashed backwards on top of the Hecate.
Enemy has been slain. Your left tower is under attack.
Fenrir's missing. I'm almost screwed that one up. I cancelled my ult because I thought he was out of it.
Careful, right.
An ally has been slain. An enemy has been slain. An ally has been slain. Destroyed a middle enemy tower. Has been slain.
No vision on Fenrir.
Your left tower is under attack.
I'm on my way.
Your left tower is under attack. Your middle tower.
Just get mid tower. Fenrir still behind. My ult's back up, I can fight.
Completed.
We got tier 2, I think that's better. Now we can group more and get the gold.
Your team has destroyed the Gold Fury.
Bro, I dashed into the... Damn it.
Attack Fire Giant.
Let me heal on the wave. Neith, stack up. Oh, never mind. He's not here.
An enemy has been slain. An enemy has been slain.
I managed to block the ult. Fire should still be free. It's practically ended up being a scrim. Unexpected. But it's happened before. We met Ragnar's team as well. Not too long ago. Might not have been on stream though. I think that was just when we were fucking around. Let's grab this. I gotta get 20 and finish my starter here. I feel like I have so much gold already, and not even 20. Or like so many items without being 20.
Your right tower is under attack. An ally has been slain. Your middle tower is under attack. The enemy has been slain.
If you want a healing, don't kill the creeps. We do it too much. Gotta use the Hades healing. It's more powerful. might think. It's easy to forget though.
An enemy has been slain.
Careful, I'm there. I'll push.
An enemy has been slain.
Damn. The fucking flower came in clutch for them.
Your team
I thought I could take that too. But yeah, they were both too tanky. We got a Phoenix for it though. I'll take the trade. Do they have any anti-healing? That's the big thing. They don't. So my 3 heals so much.
An ally has been slain. An enemy has been slain.
Want to see if I can get red buff here.
Attack Fire Giant!
Your right tower is under attack. You have morbid taste. Group up. An ally has been slain.
Yeah, we're definitely running around alone too much. We got a group.
An ally has been slain. An enemy has been slain. An ally has been slain. Your right tower is under attack. Your right tower is under attack.
Yeah, just group, cause we win easily 5v5.
cancel that. Gank.
Be careful!
Poison fire giant. Slay an enemy.
They're one man down. Just tank it. Yeah, yeah. Alright, fall back. Yeah, when the wave comes in, that's when we tank it normally. Yeah, it's fine, don't worry about it. Puck has Fenrir down here in front of me.
You have slain an enemy.
Alright, have a good one. See ya. Damn, mastery level up too. Nice. And that was my promo game too, actually. I'm still gonna play for a bit, yeah. Dude, it's so hot right now. It's actually so hot. I'm sorry for being very quiet today. I'm just tired for the people that may be showing up. I'm so tired today. So I'm relaxing a bit. Probably not going to be the longest stream either. It's very hot, and yeah, that's about it. I had to get up somewhat early today, and at the moment with my horrible, horrible sleep schedule, I am just extra tired as a result. I feel dead, but I think I will sleep well tonight. I gotta get more Mordred in. I'm getting close to a rank 5 here. Gotta get an Onyx skin. The first one. On my account. For Smite 2. It's looking to be Mordred. I don't really think there's any other god so far in Smite 2 that I feel like I would main. But, yeah. It's unfortunate, because I don't think he's that good. In, well, not that. He's fine. But he's not top solo. That goes to Chaac and Hades. But I think if those are out, I think he's got a pretty real shot. He's got some bad matchups though, like Ymir. Ymir shits on him. But Ymir kinda shits on anyone 1v1 at the moment. He's so good for lane pressure. Yeah. Now I am, because I've got to pick. That's very nice of him. I'm stupid. I just forgot to take a roll. It was there for so long, I got distracted. I had a long nail I wanted to fix first.
Mordred.
I mean, I think that's kind of the good part about him, is that he doesn't need to do anything to do really well. You push your 4, you push your 1, you push your 2, and oh shit, they're dead. Damn. You don't really need to do much, like he's just so powerful. But, yeah. I get why you don't want to, though. I think for jungle, Fenrir is better anyway. For solo, Chaac is so good, because pretty much, like, he's got the best pressure at the moment. Yeah. I mean, the only reason why Hades isn't as good as him is because Chaac's early game is just much better. Yeah, exactly. I just reached plat, I think. Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't. Just focus on having some fun. Like, it never mattered, that's the thing. You can't let it influence you too much. Yeah, for sure. Jesus Christ, man. Now that the sun's come up, or not come up, but now it's hitting my apartment. It's so hot. Jesus Christ.
is mine for the taking.
Let's do a challenge start here.
Oh, not cool, man.
Rats!
Enemy spotted.
Minions have spawned.
Clean.
Be careful.
An enemy has been slain. Your middle tower is under attack.
My blade.
Attack!
Okay.
Attack! Rats! Slain an enemy.
Yeah, that's what he gets for invading me. I'm not gonna let that shit slide. It's also such a weird invade too. He invaded and just kind of autoed it to death. I was like, what? I expected him to sunder, so I was about to run away from it. I was like, whatever, just take it then. But he didn't, and I was it confused me so much.
An ally has been slain. Yes. Attack!
Yeah.
An enemy has been slain. An enemy has been slain. Enemies in left lane.
I think he is absolute garbage.
Forget it. An enemy has been slain.
I missed my dash, that sucks.
Slain an enemy.
I sense your fear.
Pain is all I have ever known.
Damn, that was close. I looked away for a second.
Has been slain.
you leech over the wall? I don't, can you? Okay, you can. Thank God. Last few times I tried, it felt like it didn't work.
Killing spree. An enemy has been slain. An ally has been slain. Follow me. Follow me. An enemy has been slain. An enemy has been slain. Tower is under attack.
I also got needled. Damn.
An enemy.
Okay.
An enemy has been slain. Your team has destroyed a left center blocked. Center blocked. Enemy missing left. Center blocked. An enemy has been slain. An ally has been slain. Over. I'm done kidding. An enemy has been slain. You are no match. An enemy has been slain. My blades hunger.
This is old.
Has been slain.
I'll take it.
Center blocked. Follows close. Slain. An enemy has been slain.
Your pleas have been answered. This card is a bit weird. Like I feel like I don't learn anything from this. Like what does 21 XP mean? Or 45 XP mean? I guess it makes sense in terms of the player level. Like you don't get XP for like God Mastery, right? So what the hell does that mean? I think that screen is a bit glitchy anyway, but yeah, I've no idea what that means in terms of worshippers. I only need 14 now. Then I can rock the sweet Onyx skin. The Shadow one is alright, but I don't think it's as good. Like it is cool, I think, but for some reason I think the purple slash like heavy blue is just very dominant. Like especially from behind. This is just a lot more clean. But I mean, nothing beats this. This just looks great. But at the same time, this might also get a little overwhelming in the long run. Mostly because of the outside effect. Or like the outline effect. I don't think I want to do Mordred twice in a row though. I'm not sure what to pick here. Could go Ymir again. If it's Odin, I might want to do something with a jump. Don't really feel like playing Hades though. I haven't done a whole lot of Ares solo, but I also don't really think it's good. I'm not sure. I think I'll just do it here. I do need to figure out a build for Ymir that I actually think is good. I think one of the big problems, like I love playing the one shot, like Hydra's Deathbringer Ymir, but it's just not good late game. It's so bad. He becomes so easy, like he becomes super easy to kill. But also doesn't help that crit is very powerful at the moment. That's the main reason. But even then, I need to see what I can figure out. Maybe I can find another build that might work. Okay, so I definitely still think he's good. And he doesn't need to one-shot to be useful. I'm definitely gonna need Combat Blink for this one. It's creative. I don't know which starter I like on Ymir the most. I really don't. Probably Bluestone just for clear, I guess. Because realistically, I would want to go for something like this, like Death Toll. But I don't think... I don't know, this is actually kind of sick. You know what, I'm gonna try it.
I'm getting into some of this Smite Diesel.
I want to try it. Let's see. Because 100 health is pretty nice, honestly, for the starter as well. I don't remember if it had that much health in Smite 1. That's a good amount. Because normally all the starters have... Yeah, it has the most health. I sure my camera is locked.
Have spawned.
Why's my camera locked? I actually have no idea. How do I turn that shit off? Where's the camera pitch? There we go. Oh my god, much better. My game did I play for so long? No. I still didn't realize I had that on.
Enemy missing middle.
Your left tower is under
Wonk.
Enemy missing middle.
An enemy has been slain. Your middle tower is under attack.
Be right back.
I had to. It gave me enough gold, actually worth it. Gave me enough gold for Hydras. All I needed.
Be careful middle. Enemy ultimate incoming.
An ally has been slain. An enemy has been slain. Your middle tower is under attack.
I gotta hit the wall knock up, otherwise I'm not gonna catch him.
An enemy has been slain. An enemy has been slain.
Damn it.
Enemy missing middle. Be careful left.
Damn. I can't believe he dashed. Probably didn't even need to ult to kill him, but it's not like I need my ult for anything else at the moment. And I might as well just secure it.
An enemy has been slain.
You know what? I kind of prefer this, actually, for aiming the wall. Might prefer this on Ymir. Oh, he got his dash up in time.
An ally
Oh, he now taunts as well, huh?
an enemy has been slain.
Prefer to leave the dying to them.
Oh no. Get him, Thana. I got him eventually.
Enemy has been slain. An ally has been slain.
Alright. Gotta
Your right
say hi to Hades again. Hades did a surprising amount of damage to me too.
Enemy missing middle. Be careful.
On my way.
cancel that.
Close.
Enemy missing middle.
An enemy has been slain. An enemy has been slain. An enemy has been slain.
What do you say? Yeah, it's fine. Loki was here once, but that's about it. Yeah, Hades is definitely reaching a level right now where I need to be careful. He does actually do a lot of damage to me. Let's see.
Your middle tower
Enemies
is under
incoming.
attack.
Okay, almost.
Enemy
I'll
missing
see if I
middle,
can get some more
careful.
protection now. I want to see how this works out. It might even be fully worth it early to do this. Like, rushing these two items is kind of risky.
On my way.
An ally has been slain. An enemy has been slain. Your middle tower is under attack. Your middle tower has been destroyed.
Alright, not too shabby. Hopefully I can get some more protection fast, because they definitely still do damage to me.
Enemy missing middle.
I'm not really sure what I should get, to be honest. Spirit Robe is broken at the moment, it's completely glitched out, so I can't build that. Otherwise that would normally be a decent choice, but I refuse to build it while it's bugged. It gives you way more protection than it says. So, don't do it, guys. Don't abuse it. I'll probably get the flower though.
An enemy has been slain.
This poor guy got crit.
On my way.
I guess I'll just push.
An enemy has been slain.
Unfortunate.
An ally has been slain.
On my way.
Actually, maybe Stone of Binding. Stone of Binding is kind of sick. Yeah, on Ymir, that makes so much sense. Stone of Binding gives way more protection than it needs to, man. It's kind of legit. I'm doing it.
An enemy has been slain.
missing middle.
An ally has been slain.
Oh, Hades is over there.
Attack!
An enemy has been slain. An ally has been slain.
No problem.
Left, you mean?
Ally has been slain.
Poor Saul. She never saw it coming.
Slain. An ally has been slain.
I think the main problem with this build is that I lack attack speed. I should maybe have like a Berserker shield early on in this instead of the shifters. Probably.
An enemy has been slain.
What the fuck? My abilities aren't hitting Odin. He is literally immune to my abilities.
An ally has been slain.
Damn, what the fuck? So, for a batch of abilities there, he was immune. Oh, okay, that was a Kukulkan there. Dude, I had the thing up, I couldn't see Kukulkan. I held control for push to talk. And so I couldn't see Kukulkan coming. That's tragic.
Has been slain.
Dude, that's so weird. Odin was just immune. I knew that bug was something that happened on Jingwei sometimes, but I didn't think that was a thing on Odin too. Yeah, I'll grab a Berserkers here. I need attack speed so badly.
Do not deny the evidence now, and I will allow to the underworld's dead.
An enemy has been slain.
I mean, pretty much. You need to build Devours and everything. It's broken. Well, it's not broken. It's just really powerful. Could be broken for all I know, though.
Your left tower is under attack. An ally has been slain. An enemy has been slain. An ally has been slain.
Overall, it's a pretty good game, though.
Has been slain.
So far, it's kind of even.
An ally has been slain.
We're still pretty up. I would say somewhat high up in gold, but
been slain.
Every time someone shows up. Let's grab Kasari as well. So many items you can build now. It's actually crazy. Oh, let's see if I can kill this. I definitely can. Still does pretty decent damage, even though I'm mostly tank at this point.
Been slain. Your right tower. An ally has been slain.
Yeah, I guess Kukulkan is tough, because I can't ult ever. Yeah, I think all the mages are good late game, it's just their early game is so bad. I gotta get this now. Where is she running? Take the teleporter again. Take it again. Ah. That's unfortunate. Yeah, maybe blue. No, I don't have bluestone actually. Never mind. Yeah, it's just red buff then. Can we go on Coco? I'm tanking this. Oh.
Manipulate.
Cheated.
Dispel their attacks.
I may or may not. May or may not. Be brave.
It just didn't. But yeah, I'm streaming if you wanted to watch. But I mean, yeah, we're done now anyway. A rank 2 Ymir, man. How is Ymir my my second most played at this point, man? Yeah, if anyone's up for a 5-man, feel free to just speak up. We need one. If it's probably just gonna be one game though, because I'll only do one more, I think. You guys, I'll just leave. You guys can go. I'll do a solo queue. Yeah. I would only stay for one more game anyway, but we can, if you have a 5th, then yeah, we can just do that. But I mean, it's mainly because I'm streaming. I don't want to just sit around and do nothing. Yeah, I'm only doing one anyway, so if I can just do one fast, then that'll be it. But now I end the stream and I can play again later as well. Yeah, I can probably carry if you do jungle. What date? What day is the tournament again? Oh, okay.
Mordred.
I'll see if I can get some Onyx action going here very soon. I need 14 worshippers. Oh, I want to get Mordred to rank 5. So I can look cool. That's all that matters. Bologna, huh? I think she's alright, honestly. Into a Mordred. She's not bad. Oh, she's kind of bad, but into Mordred specifically, I can interrupt her too very easily. I can with my dash, but yeah. Oh. Interesting. Got a triple Q going, it seems.
Greetings. Live, enjoy glorious.
By all means necessary.
I imagine, I said it yesterday as well, but I imagine a lot of MBH strats is going to be the main thing. It's way too easy with Thunder. Who am I against? Well, it's probably it's got to be Bologna, yeah, because it's Morgan support.
Minions have spawned.
This might actually be a good game. I hope our randoms are not bad, and same with theirs. We could end up with a pretty sweet game here.
Retreat!
Missing middle.
Retreat!
Your left arm is under attack.
Sure.
Retreat! 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 Retreat!
Has been slain. An ally has been slain.
I'm not sure it's going to be worth it. I don't see him. Yeah, I mean, this is the type of stuff that's to be expected. If there's a call missing, they're probably going to chill.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Golgan was down though, so he wouldn't go there.
An ally has been slain. An ally has been slain.
Enemy missing middle.
Glorious power is mine for the taking.
Yeah, Need 3 is really weird right now. Yeah, jumps into my 2 are definitely strange.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Yeah, isn't right.
Has been slain. Is all I have ever known. Pain finally subsides.
That's shell down as well. Not really much I think I could have done there. No, when Morgan showed up. I could definitely have killed Susano. It's gonna be pretty tough. I think eventually I'll reach a point where
Slither.
Susano's just gonna destroy me, but they're also pretty fat, actually, now I'm looking at it. It's not looking too good.
Tower is under attack.
Dueling having a tough time.
Your middle tower is under attack. Slain an enemy. An enemy has been slain. An ally has been slain. Enemy missing right. Is under attack.
Retreat left.
Death follows close. An ally has been slain. An ally has been slain. I sense your fear. My death follows close. Enemy missing right.
Alright. Backing off here. Let's see if I can pick this one up. It's looking pretty rough.
An ally has been slain.
Berserker's Rush, okay. Am I full item ahead of her? That's kind of crazy.
I sense your fear.
So funny when you kind of miss the dash, you just kind of jump in. You just jump.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Treachery is a fool no match.
Let's blink at least. Weird little lag there. Yeah, I'm coming.
Ally has been slain. An ally has been slain.
Scent of blood. Scent of blood.
No, there's still 3 people here. They're on a red. That's unfortunate. Probably could have fought it if we decided to stick around, but they also chased really far. We're kind of lacking a bit of mid and support at the moment. Not really much we can do here, I think.
Your right tower is under attack. Your left
Scent of blood.
ally has been slain. An ally has been slain. An ally has been slain.
Damn it. Keep missing my 3, that's so bad.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Damn it, dude. I thought... Damn, I thought you said the sun was coming to you guys. Fuck me. Ugh. Damn, that sucks. That's the only reason why I was diving the Bellona so far. I thought I had her. Because I knew Susano wasn't gonna come, but... Damn. I even almost had her too. I could have probably just kept chasing, but I thought maybe I could get away from Susano and just survive. But... yeah. Damn, what would actually be nice here? Do I have something that could give me both? It's too late for that. I guess the best thing I could get is Shoguns just for attack speed, but I don't think attack speed really is going to do much for me here. Probably just time to get more damage. Get something like this. Get Teko.
Your right tower is under attack. Enemy missing right. Your left tower is destroyed. An ally has been slain. Your middle tower is under attack.
Yeah, don't think I can do anything there.
All I have ever known.
Sad. It's so low too.
Your right tower is under attack. And destroyed. Your team has destroyed the Gold Fury.
Send a block.
Ah, I should have known. Should have known they were coming. Just got my rank 2 ult as well. Dude, you really just cannot hear stealth at all. He's just stuck.
An ally has been slain. Your right tower is under attack.
Yo, what is that one?
An ally has been slain.
Scepter of Dominion. Dude, that's interesting.
An ally has been slain. Slain an enemy.
Your future looks bleak.
Retreat left lane.
Yeah, no, that's not getting out. I was just kind of bait.
An enemy has been slain.
It's definitely a tough game so far. We're not that far behind in gold, but
Your right tower.
the disparity between mid laners and supports are gonna make this one rough late game, I think. There won't be as much synergy. And they might be a 5-man, I'm not really sure. They could be. Might be Jover. It is kind of fun though. I actually do. I'm enjoying this game, seeing how. It's kind of fun to have some good challenge here. And I think I've kind of found the Warjord build that I like the most. Like this just kind of feels really good. It's not as good going into late game, I think, but you can always maybe sell some items or swap them out. But
An ally has been slain.
do the guys I'm playing with right now are so done. I'm here. I'm kind of enjoying this. Finally, a game where, I mean, we definitely have two kind of deadweight players to a certain extent, but I'm kind of enjoying this, man. I'm not gonna lie. Let's get the flower for healing here.
The enemy team has destroyed the Gold Fury.
Not as far. I didn't see anyone there. Yeah, I kind of need XP. I'm still at the 16 here.
An enemy has been slain.
Be careful.
I actually just need farm, man. I'm 17 now. I'm somehow behind Bologna.
An enemy has
That's
been
crazy.
slain. An ally has been slain.
Sense of blood. Sense of blood.
Be careful, right?
They're on red.
I sense your fear.
Two-man ult. Yeah, but have you seen me? Oh my god. The creeps, dude. There's so many.
Sensor blocked.
Yeah, I like this build so far. It's been the one my go-to at this point. Yeah, it's just a root, so they can still jump away or something. But yeah, it's a good wood. It's a good CC for sure.
Sensor blocked.
An ally has been slain. An ally has been slain.
So this is behind. Yeah, yeah, I can do that. I just want something else. Yeah, actually, this works out. I got the healing flower as well now if we need it. Morrigan ult. Should blink as well, but that's just Kukulkan's blink, so no.
An ally has been slain.
Sensor blocked.
I'm chasing Susano here.
Sensor blocked.
I'm still chasing his ass.
Your team has destroyed a middle enemy base.
I can't believe I caught up with him.
Attack the Titan. Attack the Titan.
No, it's just the constant dash. And well, movement speed on hits too. Nice. See, these are the types of games I'm looking for, man. Alright. What a great game to end on. I mean, we definitely did have some issues with Odin and Kukulkan at times, but overall, they were not bad. They went in sometimes when they needed to, even though it was risky. Alright, damn. I feel great. I do think Modred's situation is much different if you're against something like a Chuck or a Hades. But I think if Chuck and Hades are out, he's really good. But those two just kind of screw with you if you don't have any mobility. Hades is going to fuck you up with his ult, Chuck is going to slow you to death. You don't want to deal with any of it. But I think the rest are alright. I do think a good Bellona, though, is scary to deal with. But yeah. I'm not even sure how we won that fight, to be honest, because I wasn't obviously there, but super good job on my team for picking that up. Yeah, thank you for the games for now, guys. I'm dipping for now. See you later. So yeah, it's been pretty passive and pretty tame today, I would say. I'm really tired. I'm sorry that I haven't been talking too much, and yeah, I will probably. Actually, no, I won't be back tomorrow because tomorrow is the tournament. So whether we get first rounded or whether we go far, I won't be streaming because I'm just planning on relaxing, I guess, if we don't make it far. So if you're interested, I'll be in it tomorrow. Feel free to look out for that. And if not, well,